Namo Namaste Gurave Mahatmane Vimukta Sangaya Saduttamaya Nityadvayananda Rasaswarupine Bhumne Sada Paradayam Budhamni Namaste Namaste Vibho Vishwamurte Namaste Namaste Chidanandamurte Namaste Namaste Tapoyogagamya Namaste Namaste Shruti Jnanagamya Swarajya Samrajya Vibhutiresha Bhavat Kripa Shri Mahima Prasadat Prapta Maya Shri Gurave Mahatmani Namo Namaste Stu Punarnamostu Namo Namaste Stu Punarnamostu Namo Namaste Stu Punarnamostu Namastasmai Sadaikasmai Kasmai Janmahase Namaha Yadetad Vishwarupena Rajati Guru Rajati Yadetad Vishwarupena Rajati Guru Rajati. Hari. We will do the Shanti mantra. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah.
Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah.
Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah.
Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah.
Sirairangaistuštuvamsastanubhih.
Sirairangaistuštuvamsastanubhih.
Vyashema devahitam yadayuh.
Vyashema devahitam yadayuh.
Swasti na indro vriddhashrabaah.
Swasti na indro vriddhashrabaah.
Swasti na pusha vishvavedaah.
Swasti nah pusha vishvavedaah.
Swasti nastarkshyo arishtanemihi.
Swasti nastarkshyo arishtanemihi.
Swasti no brihaspatir dadhatu.
Swasti no brihaspatir dadhatu.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari. So, since we were discussing the Dhyaana, which generally goes by the name meditation, and it is practiced now worldwide, I thought of deliberating on it a little more detail and varied shastras. particularly the Patanjali Sutras, which are very much followed all over the world for meditative practice, we must go into it also a little and compare with what we are studying in the Upanishad to understand fully what goes usually by the name of meditation, and in Vedantic sadhana, what is the real meditation. So today I will deal a little in detail about the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. This Ashtanga Yoga, that means Ashtaanga, that means eightfold Yoga Sadhana. Whenever we use the word eightfold, it means they are not independent. It is not 1, 2, 3, 4, they are all independent, and one can do this, one can 3, one can take to 5, like that. It is all an integrated whole, each having contribution and relationship with the other. And generally there is a sequence, the first to the last, but at the same time we should not think that only when we have completed 1, we can go to 2, and when 2 is completed, we can go to 3. It's not like that. Even sometimes going through the 3 properly with proper devotion, dedication and all, one may have what is discussed in 8. And even one may come back to 1st, 2nd, 5th, 4th anyway. Because each has some bearing on the other, and when one is had, the others also come along with us. So we will go by the sequence, at the same time remembering that in the deepest level when we go, they are all together, they are all are integrated, they make an integrated whole. Particularly when we go deeper, all these terms, they have various levels of meaning. We start with one kind of a meaning. Finally, when we go deeper and deeper, they all become different. All the differences get dissolved in the Atmic truth. So as we proceed further, we will understand this. Before that, I just wanted to repeat the 5th, 6th and 7th chanting so that you don't lose track. In this 5th, 6th and 7th, they have discussed, I have already discussed, but once let us repeat the chanting. 5 onwards. Vivikta deshe cha sukhasanastha.
Vivikta deshe cha sukhasanastha.
Shuchis samagriva shirashariraha.
Shuchis samagriva shirashariraha.
Atyashramasthas sakalendriyani.
Atyashramasthas sakalendriyani.
Nirudhya bhaktya swagurum pranamya.
Nirudhya bhaktya swagurum pranamya.
Hritpundarikam virajam vishuddham.
Hritpundarikam virajam vishuddham.
Vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam.
Vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam.
This each word I have explained in detail, and I would like those who are serious, you should all chant it at home as many times as possible while doing anything. You can take by heart. Then you will find that the bhavas automatically will dawn in our mind. And they are very good to chant. You can chant in your own tune also. But as you do it with the meditation on the meanings, manana on the meanings, it will definitely change your whole being. A transformation will dawn. Achintyam avyaktam anantarupam.
Achintyam avyaktam anantarupam.
Shivam prashantam amritam brahmayonim.
Shivam prashantam amritam ब्रह्मयोनिं
तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकम्
तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं
विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्
विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्
उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुम्
उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुं
त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम्
त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तं
ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिम्
ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिं
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्.
So as I said that the first one, it starts with arranging the outside, the place where you sit, the cleanliness outside as well as within our mind. Then forgetting all the differences, forgetting all the attractions and repulsions of the indriyas, that means raga, dvesha, etc. We start sitting. Now before sitting, we should have a real prostration to our Guru, because this knowledge, as we repeatedly say, that it is a living knowledge. It has to come from the Guru to the Shishya. Today, after thousands and thousands of years, when these were written, from that thousands of years later also, we are able to have this knowledge. It is only because some gurus have been living during each era and who lit the flame in the next generation. And the Guru's position here is extremely important, because we have to go transcend our ego. The ego which is covering our intelligence particularly, not allowing us to see the truth. So this having humility of that dimension, we may say we have surrendered to the Bhagavan or Ishvara, but how will you know? We say we are surrendered, but we do according to our own likes and dislikes, whatever to be done. The test comes only when we are living with the Guru and his instructions will go against our likes and dislikes, and then only the ego will raise its hood. So this, before going for the actualization of the truth, discovery of the truth, it is extremely important that we bring in as much humility as possible, completely surrendering ourselves at the feet of the Guru. If the Guru is not there, at least to the Lord. Then what do? Hrit pundarikam virajam vishuddham. Then the whole attention comes down to where from the I-ness is coming, to our deepest cavern of our heart, where from the aham bodha is coming there. And then we try to purify that, to make it free of all constrictions, bheda buddhi, to make it expanded, make it sky-like. All these changes we have to bring in, because there lies that Hrit Pundarikam, the lotus in our heart, that will be the lotus seat for the dawning of, you call Lord, you call Atma, you call anything. We can know only what is happening within in our heart. So unless the heart is becoming pure, we cannot experience purity. Let us take it forever, remember it forever. Anything to experience our mind and heart will have to become that. That is why it is often said that the pure mind itself is the Atma or the Brahman. So the focus is immediately taken to the heart. Now this will not be like this generally in all meditational practice or yoga or so. This is Upanishadic practice, so naturally the goal is to experience oneness with the universal truth. We call it Brahmatmaikatva Bodha. That means Brahman, Atma, Ekatva Bodha. The awareness that the I feel, the small, the puny, limited, constricted, raga, dvesha, full I, that is not like that. It is the same as the universal substratum Brahman. So all the purity finally dawns in our sadhana with our own deepest level of our being. That part has to be purified, has to be expanded to the sky dimension, spatial dimension. And it cannot have vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam. No grief. Grief means there is a depression. There cannot be any depression, elevation, etc. Sukha, dukkha, all will be there, but through which our prasada will never be missed. Then in the 6th verse it comes to Achintyam avyaktam ananta rupam shivam prashantam amritam brahma yonim. Here I explain in great detail how they are coming to the indescribable truth. So we have to think of the indescribable truth. How will you think? We have to think using our words only. But we are using words to go beyond words, because we know the truth is avang manaso gocharaha. It cannot be attained by the mind or the words, but certainly it has to be experienced by the purified mind and buddhi. As in Yoga Vasishtha also says that it is the purification of the buddhi through vichara, through analyzing what is true and what is not, what is Atma and what is Anatma. Like that constant vichara, the buddhi undergoes a transformation, and then the truth dawns in the buddhi. The buddhi is able to see the truth. So here that sadhana is described in this verse number 6. Vibhum chidanandam arupam adbhutam. Doing that, it is the formless, meditation on the formless. Actually, it is not even formless. It is the substratum of the formed and formless. So the real expression is, it is of the transcendental truth. After giving, because many people are given to formed worship and they are not able to easily get over it. So they are not denying them. Immediately they came back to Shiva and Uma, you can say even Ardhanarishwar Murti. That means both Shiva and Shakti, the Purusha and Prakriti, the two parts, the two aspects of the entire creation. Bringing into that if we cannot think of this Nirguna Brahma, at least you think of this. But what do you do? Trilochanam Neelakantham Prashantam. When you think of somebody Prashantam, automatically your mind has to get to that Shanti. Otherwise you will not be able to think of Shanti. The moment we think of Shanti, what kind of Shanti? You are conceiving in your mind of Shiva, the Murti of Shiva, Murti of Uma. And Dhyatva Munihi Gacchati Bhuta Yonim. By meditating on that also. How you are meditating? Generally we make mistake by picturing something, what we are devoted to. We try to align our vrittis to that and try to have that form. It is not like that. Again and again I am saying, the real meditation, the real actualization can easily be done through bhava. Without the bhava, it will never be successful. We always end up doing the exercise, following this, following that, but we don't have the bhava. That is why we miss the goal. We should note it very well. Without the bhava, it cannot be. Even if you have a meditation, if you have a samadhi, the knowledge will not dawn. The fulfillment will not come without bhava. So the entire sadhana, let us understand that it is a sadhana of bhava shuddhi. The Lord repeatedly in our Shastras it is said that the Bhagavan or the Lord does not remain in the wooden idol or in the stone idol. It remains in the bhava. Therefore, bhava has to be, the sadhana has to be with the bhava. So he is saying, even the Rishi is saying that even when you are thinking of the form, if you have the bhava of devotion and surrender, you take to that real dhyana, then dhyatva munihi gacchati bhuta yonim. Bhuta yonim means who transcends the entire creation, where the whole creation is suspended, is appearing to be. That is the consciousness, that is the Atma, that is the Brahman. So he says that in this formed dhyana also, if we are doing it with the bhava of devotion, surrender and all, we will automatically, what will happen? Whatever murti you are thinking, it will get dissolved in that bhava. That bhava itself will take you to the ultimate experience, level of experience. What is that? Samasta sakshim tamasah parastat. Where you become the sakshi, the witness of the entire universe. You no longer get identified with your body-mind personality, which is only a product of the nature, product of Prakriti. The whole nature, the whole creation is appearing in the consciousness. So you become that sakshi, tamasah parastat, which will take you beyond all ignorance. This is the goal of all Upanishadic compositions, to go beyond ignorance, because the ignorance is like darkness in the buddhi, and that ignorance can only be removed by the actualized knowledge. The knowledge will remove the ignorance, then whatever the truth is, that remains, and we realize the truth, which cannot be expressed in words, in the language of the dual universe. Then he will go on to say in the next verse onward, Sab Brahma, Sa Shivaha, Sendraha, Soksharaha, Paramaswarat, Saeva Vishnuhu, Sa Pranaha, Sa Kalognihi, Sa Chandramaha. See, all whatever we think of worshipping, also the Graha, Nakshatra, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, everything is put, that know that everything is that. Everything, all the devas, devis, they are all appearance in the consciousness. But you have to get in touch with that consciousness, that is the main point. When through bhava you are approaching that consciousness, if you are devoted to, say, Kali or Shiva or so, that bhava will make your atmic conscious, the Atma Chaitanya will take that murti. So what you are having is actually Atma Sakshatkara. You are in touch with the consciousness which you are in reality. But because of the samskara of your devotion to a particular form, that form is becoming alive with that bhava, and you are having the darshan of that bhava. That is why in our Shastras it is said, Devo Bhutva Devanapyati. The puja, Deva puja, formed worship, ends where? Ends there, when you become that, what you are worshipping. There the darshana comes. How are you experiencing the Shiva? Unless your mind does not take that form. When your mind takes that form, then you are having the Shiva darshana, and that is the end of your dual worship. If you carry on with your bhava, automatically the Shiva or Durga or Kali or whatever, it will get dissolved in that consciousness, and you will be left with the Atma Sakshatkara. It cannot happen by artificial thinking like this, thinking like that, ye mantra ko lao, wahan pe lakho, ye karo, wo karo, hum sunenge, karte rahenge, hoga nahi. Unless the bhava is there, it will not happen. This is what today I thought of explaining through the Patanjali Sutras also. So let us come to, you can show the second slide. See, it is called Ashtanga Yoga because it has got 8 limbs or 8 aspects of it, of which 5 we call Bahiranga, and 3 we call Antaranga. That means 5 are external aspects, exterior aspects, and 3 are internal aspects. Now, although we are dividing in this 5 plus 3, they have a certain meaning, but really speaking, it is not so. When we do it with the ultimate goal in mind, then everything becomes internal, because the yoga is based on looking within. That we should remember. It is not to do with the external life or to make our body more powerful to enjoy the world. These are all pollutions, these are all diversions which has come to yoga. The aim of yoga is only to have the yoga, the fusion, the union of what? The egoistic identity, small, limited, constricted egoistic identity getting dissolved or merged in the universal Brahman identity. All other things, they will come on the way and go, but they are not the goal of yoga at all. Now, this which is called Bahiranga means the external parts. They consist of these 5: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama and Pratyahara. And the 3 internal aspects are Dhaarana, Dhyaana, Samadhi. Now, although we divide the practices into external and internal, Yoga Sadhana is based on looking within. The goal is drashtu swarupe avasthanam. See, when you open the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the first is Atha Yoganusasanam. The first sutra is, now therefore is Yoga Anusasana. That means the discipline of yoga. Now that Atha and all, as I have explained in other cases also, here also it will there, that it is the fitness criterion basically, who is fit to do it, etc. Now, in the second one sutra itself, he is defining what is yoga. He says, Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. That means yoga is when all the chitta vrittis are dissolved. The chitta vrittis are not there. Nirodha means no chitta vritti is there. The mind is free of all vrittis. This vritti means all kinds of thoughts, ideas, all kinds of concepts, everything. The vritti has to completely vanish. Even if you say bhava, the most of the bhavas with which we are doing, they also will get dissolved, except the brahmakara vritti, which is the bhava of it. Now, those vrittis, if they go, will we have the Atmic realization? Our Shastras clearly say no. That is why many people, we have found many sadhaks, they say that Swamiji, meditation तो अच्छे से होता है, thoughts कुछ भी नहीं रहता है, the mind becomes thoughtless, लेकिन उसके बाद क्या करना है? The question that if mind is becoming thoughtless and you don't know what to do after that, it means that by becoming thoughtless you are not gaining anything, you are not getting the knowledge, you are not having the Atma Sakshatkara. Why? Because only just Vritti Nirodha will not give you the Atmic realization, the Atma Chaitanya Sparsha, the touch of the Atmic Chaitanya, just by Vritti Nirodha will not come. To have the Atma Chaitanya, if the Vrittis are gone, there must be the Bodha. Bodha means the consciousness. That Chaitanya Bodha has to be there. Without that, we can never have the fulfillment in meditation. You will sit for a long time, as long as you want, without any thought. You get up. You are the same person who entered into meditation and who is coming out of the meditation. Ramakrishna Dev used to explain it very well, saying that there are various kinds of mudras. There is something called Khechari mudra, where the tongue, by artificial process, by practice, you can put the tongue into the windpipe, and that then the body will not die, but it will become still. No thought will be there, nothing will be there. So he used to give an example that snake charmer they have a peculiar kind of a flute which is not easy to blow. They blow the flute and oscillate it like that, and with that the cobra also will move its hood like that. You must have seen snake charmers. So one snake charmer was playing the flute, while blowing the air, suddenly by chance the tongue went into the windpipe and he became still. And for a long time there was no consciousness. I don't know what is the story, how long he was like that. It can be even days. Nothing will happen. Then somebody came and did something, so the tongue came out of it. Immediately he started saying lug, 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 lug. That means when he was playing the snakes, he was saying lug, 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 lug. That they have a certain way of speaking. And they were playing the flute. So when he came back to awareness again, he did not know that in between such a long time has passed. He is coming back to the same thing. So such a meaning is that by having such a vritti nirodha, you don't gain anything. You can remain for years, still thoughtless. When you come back, you will be the same self. There is no gain. Because nothing was there. Nothing happened. There was no awareness also. So we should know very well that the vritti nirodha is not all. Just by vritti nirodha you won't get the self-realization. That is why immediately next to this sutra, that is after the yogaschitta vritti nirodha, the third sutra he is saying, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada means in that case when the vritti nirodha is there, drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. That we are drashta, we are at that point, we are remaining in our own swarupa. Now this point is very important. This swarupa bodha, what is our real identity? That bodha has to be there when the vritti goes. If we don't have the bodha when the vrittis have all gone, mind has become thoughtless, but we don't have the bodha of who am I in reality, that bodha must come at that point. If it doesn't come, then it will not give you realization or any gain at all. You will just know that I was blank and now I have come back. It's a no signal state. As the mind has got, the consciousness is getting very many signals. That is a state when that mind is not generating any signal, but there is no bodha also. Just like sleep, deep sleep. You are sleeping every day. Are you becoming realized by that? The sleep state is exactly like that. There is no thought. Dream state, there is thought, there is idle, many things will be there. When you pass into deep sleep or sushupti, then nothing is there. But after getting up, are you becoming knower? Are you coming to know the identity? No. So the important point is that we have to approach through the bhava shuddhi, so that the bodha is not lost. Even when the vrittis are not there, the Atma Sakshatkar, the Atma Chaitanya will be fully awake. That is why at that point it gives us a new birth, that we arise into a new world. It's not a world, but new truth, that it is only consciousness and consciousness everywhere. That is the drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. This has to go with chitta vritti nirodha. Then comes the fourth one, which is also equally or even more important. He says, vritti sarupyam itaratra. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Itaha atra means when he is no more in the Swarupa Avasthanam, no more in that state of vritti nirodha, then where is he? What is he doing? He says, vritti sarupyam. This is a great, great secret truth which we all must try to, and this is taken as the sadhana. In fact, here Swadhyaya in Patanjali, that has been explained in this as this practice. What is that? Vritti sarupyam means at that point there was no vritti. Now when you are coming out of the zero vritti state, you find the whole world is appearing in you. But you know that the world you are seeing, the world you are perceiving is all made of Chaitanya alone, made of Atma. Because world may be there externally, but what you are seeing is what the world appearing in your mind, in your consciousness. So is it not the same drashta, the same seer who is taking the form of the world and projecting himself as the world? That is the meaning of vritti sarupyam. If it is so, then is it not true that in our wakeful state, when the world is dancing, it is not the world, but it is the Lord, it is the Atma, it is the Brahman who is taking the form of the world and dancing in me. So can we miss any time the Lord? This vichara should be there. That we cannot miss Him. He is right before us. Throughout life we have been looking for God, looking for God, looking for God. He is present everywhere in every perception. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam vindate. Then we come to know that I am immortal. Every bodha, every perception He is present. He is there in every perception. There cannot be any perception without that, because anything to know, it must appear in the consciousness. Without anything appearing in the consciousness, we cannot have any experience at all. So this vritti sarupyam mitaratra, if we know it, if we can practice it and we realize it, then all our problems are solved. We can remain in the world if necessary, doing everything, but we will find everywhere the Atma and Atma alone. So their mind will become free of raga dvesha. You will no longer run after the world, because where is the world? Everywhere I am, that I is there everywhere. Who will run after whom? So we become absolutely contented, zero, doing whatever to be done. Whatever comes to be done, he goes on doing. So this is the goal we must remember. I don't know whether it is clear, but I think it should be clear provided you spend time on these thoughts. It's a great truth. Just in 4 sutras, Patanjali Rishi has discussed it. Now let us come back to the slides. So after saying that it is all to do with the internal, although we are saying external, certain things in external we have to arrange for, ultimately it is internal. In the next slide you see, I have just given a shloka from Kathopanishad. Paranchikhani vetrinat swayambhuhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanam aikshat avritta chakshuhu amritatvam icchan. Now he says that Paranchikhani vetrinat swayambhuhu. Swayambhu we refer to the creator Brahma. That he says as if out of neglect the Brahma has created all our indriyas as outgoing. We think that we are very, very blessed that all our indriyas are outgoing. We can enjoy this world. Without that we would not have been able to enjoy this world. But indriyas remaining outgoing, the Rishi is saying it is a curse on us, because we are never looking within, who am I? We are looking into the world and getting trapped by the world and looking for ananda, looking for joy from the world, not knowing that no joy can come from outside. The source of joy is right within. The moment we stop looking for joy outside, we will be filled with the joy which is always welling forth from our own identity, our own self. So, Paranchi Khani, that means all the sense organs the Brahma has created as outgoing. Tasmat Parang Pashyati na Antaratman. Therefore, our focus is outward. We never look to ourselves inward. But there are some people who are called Dhiraha or Dhiraha. What they did, they understood that this is a foolishness. I must first of all discover who am I. So he says, Kaschit Dhiraha, somewhere, someone Dhiraha. Pratyaga Atmanam Aikshada. Actually, it should be, the second line is before. To have the meaning, you have to say, Kaschit Dhiraha Avritta Chakshuhu Amritatvamichan Pratyaga Atmanam Aikshada. Then the prose meaning will be proper. Somewhere, some intelligent person, Amritattvam Icchan, they found that the whole world is full of birth and death. Everything which is created will be destroyed also. There is no immortality anywhere in the objective field in the creation. Everything which is born will undergo a change and finally will die. So where lies the Amritattvam? Is there any immortality? They started questioning, is there any changeless substratum? Because any changeful thing must happen on the substratum of a changelessness. Just like that clock arms moving over the dial. Dial is steady. That is why we are knowing the time. Like that, if the whole world is changeful, we are knowing because the I is not changing. But we have not discovered the real I. So with that we are not happy. So what is that real I, the changeless substratum on which the world is dancing? They wanted to know so that they can attain that immortality, they can identify with that immortal self. Then what did they do? Amritatvamichan Avritta Chakshuhu. They covered their eyes. It is a figurative language. That means they withdrew from the outer focus. All the sense organs, they withdrew. Focus them within rather than looking outward. And what happened? Pratyaga Atmanam Aikshata. This I say is the record of our practical experiment. In science also we have theoretical and practical practice. Whatever is experimental discovery, you cannot deny it is experiment. You can make a theory to explain that. So these are the clear expression of experimental discoveries by the scientists of our country thousands and thousands of years ago. It's an inner discovery. Pratyaga Atmanam Aikshada. They saw. Ikshana means it is not seeing with the eyes. Ikshana means it is the vision of the buddhi. When the buddhi reveals something as truth, that is the Pratyaga Atmanam, that is Parak, we were outgoing, looking inward, what we discover as the I, the real I, that is called Pratyaga Atma, looking within. So they discovered is the language, that means it is an experimental record, it is a record of an experiment done by the rishis that they discovered the Pratyaga Atma. So I just mentioned this, that this is what the yoga is, and everywhere the emphasis is on internal or inner being. Although each aspect of the sadhana leads to the next, in practice they are symbiotic, each helping the further growth of the other. Just like the sadhana chatushtaya I explained, as viveka increases, vairagya dawns. As vairagya enhances, viveka becomes sharper and more powerful. As viveka and vairagya enhance, then the shamadamadi shadga sampatti, all of them start dawning. Like that, and as the sampatti, the shadga sampatti come adorning us, the viveka and vairagya becomes further enhanced. Like that it goes. Here also it is like that. In practice, they are symbiotic, each helping the further growth of the other. And the final goal is to reach the transcendental consciousness where there is no internal, external at all. Now, even in practicing the Bahiranga Sadhana, that is the external what they are referring to, it may happen that you come to a state where you don't have the difference between internal and external. You may even attain Samadhi by doing that also. It is not restricted that only step by step you will proceed and you will do like that. It is not like that. Now let us come to the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. The first one is Yama. Disciplines to enhance inner peace and harmony while interacting with the world. Taking to all kinds of sensory discipline to reduce disturbances created by the world. See, the world we cannot change. The disturbances in the world all will be there. We cannot change it. We can reduce a little around us, that's all. But what we have to do is to change our response to whatever is outside. There also the focus is within. If you get disturbed by anything happening outside, you have to look to your own orientation of the mind, greed, emotion, everything. The real cause of disturbance is the ragadvesha within. That you want to run after something. You don't like something, you want to avoid, you want to run away from something. That is why what is around you is causing disturbance to your mind and buddhi. So to reach the real peace, you cannot only arrange the outside. You can do to a certain extent. You should not go to the bazaar in a marketplace to sit for meditation naturally. You have to have a peaceful place, but know that that is not going to be all. Because in the peaceful place also your mind will create the marketplace. The real marketplace is created in the mind. So you have to reduce your attraction, repulsion of your senses. There must be some discipline, some control, initially control, later on it is sublimation. But some discipline of your interactions with the world. That is what Yama gives us. That how do we modify, how do you mold our interactions with the world so that we can attain a reasonable amount of peace within, so that we can meditate. So, Yama has got 5 practices. Now, these in some places you will find a little differently also written. Generally, it is like that. The 5 practices, they are under Yama. They are Ahimsa Satyam Asteyam, Brahmacharyam Aparigraha. These are the 5. So, let us start with Ahimsa. Ahimsa, everybody knows, it means not having any hurting tendency. Physically or mentally, internally. Even you may not hurt physically, but your thoughts there might be hurting thoughts, which are not auspicious for others. That also is himsa. You may speak such words which will hurt others. That always it is happening. We are quite conscious about hurting somebody and all. That means ahimsa means always the mind remain in a very friendly, loving state. It is such a blessing if you can have such a mind, which is always hosting friendliness towards others. Maitri. See, in Buddha Dharma also, in Buddhism also, this Maitri has been taken with great importance, because Buddha went from place to place, everywhere. He set up some ashrama. This kind of integrated sannyasa life we did not have perhaps in our country. There were sannyasins individually staying in their own ashram and all. But this kind of an institutionalized sannyasa, perhaps it started with Buddha. And they had to form certain code of conduct and everything, because the ashrams had to be managed. Whenever there is an ashram, there will be a lot of people of various kinds. There could be more fight than friendliness. So, Buddha had taken this Maitri as a fundamental practice. Maitri Bhava means a friendliness, fondness towards everybody. Results, this ahimsa, not having any hurting tendency physically or mentally, results in universal love and expansion. Naturally, when you have friendliness towards everybody, Maitri Bhava towards everybody, it will mean an expansion of your heart. You will embrace the whole world. The final is the whole world, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world you will embrace as yours. So, although they are very common practices, not taken very deeply, but when you go into it, you think about it, you find that they are taking us to the self-realization. What is self-realization? Is it not universal identity? So will there not be universal love? You love yourself only, you don't love others, but when you find you are alone there in the whole world, your love will be for the whole world. So we are, through these small practices, apparently small practices, we are approaching the self. That is what I wanted to point out there. Expansion is self-realization. The ultimate of expansion is self-realization. Number 2 is Satyam. Satyena labhyaha tapasa yesha atma. Mundaka Upanishad repeatedly says about the highlights about the necessity of the walking the path of truth. It is not just truthfulness, it is much higher. I had explained it earlier in Mundaka Upanishad. What is it to follow the path of truth? Remaining on the path of truth, it grows strength to win over desires. To remaining on the path of truth, you will find that you will not be able to because of some desires, greed, etc. So if we have this Satyam as a practice, then naturally you will be able to win over desires. It's a practice to win over desires. And what else is there in self-realization? It means only get rid of all desires. Knowing that the desires are redundant. It is all my own Atma. There cannot be any desire either to run after something or to run away from something. Yada sarve pramuchyante kamayasya hridishritaha athamatyo amrito bhavati atra brahma samashnute. Kathopanishad, going to the end part, he says, Yada sarve pramuchyante kama ye asya kamayasya hridishritaha athamatyo amrito bhavati atra brahma samashnute. When all the desires hiding in the deepest cavern of our heart, they all get dissolved. The mortal man, athamatyo, we are all mortal. The mortal man becomes immortal. Athamatyo amrito bhavati. The mortal man becomes immortal. It is only, they may say so many about soul, Brahman, all that on. Finally, in practice, it is only to get rid of all the desires. And they will not go until you realize that everywhere it is I alone. So it is both ways. Athamatyo amrito bhavati atra brahma samashnute. Here itself in this life, when we are on this world, we don't have to go to the heaven or in the next life or 100 lives or anything. Here itself, he enjoys, he completely gets merged in the atra brahma samashnate, in the Brahman. This Satyam, practice of remaining on the path of truth, it results in clarity, courage and confidence. You do it and see, it will give great courage. Once we are on the path of truth, anything we do, we will not have fear of facing any adversity at all. We will be straight away face everything that comes on our way. The Satyam itself will be our sukur, will be our main strength. It gives tremendous confidence. You take the decisions remaining on the path of truth and follow whatever comes. You will never look back, never have to repent, never have to think elated also. You just walk. Seeing the truth, you walk, that's all. Never looking back, never looking far into the future also. Asteyam means achaurya, that means actually non-stealing. Asteyam means non-stealing. Now you see all these words are used for ordinary pursuit also to have a good life. Ahimsa means don't kill animals or so. Eat non-vegetarian food, eat vegetarian food. Satyam means you speak the truth. Asteyam means don't steal. It is not just stealing, not taking others' possession, physical or intellectual, not without his permission, without the other person's permission. You have to think deeply where all we do stealthily many things. Asteyam means not to take to stealth at all. Fourth is brahmacharyam. Generally it is always referred to, it is celibacy. But not just celibacy. When you approach it means one who practices the knowledge of Brahman, who moves in the field of Brahman. That is the brahmacharya. Charya, his charya is Brahman. That means he is practicing Brahmajnana. Deeper meaning is to be on the path of Brahmajnana. Now if we, one hand it is celibacy, another hand it is actually walking the path of Brahmajnana. As we do it, there will be a brilliance within and outside also. That the brilliance is not through applying creams and oils and all that, the external brilliance, or putting lipstick or some paint and all. It is not that kind of a brilliance. It is paint. We paint now our face. What do you call it? Facial and all, whatever it is. So it is actually called Brahma Varchas. There is a word called Brahma Varchas. That is when our mind is fully charged with the truth, charged with the Atmic Chaitanya. There is a glow. The whole body will start glowing with the truth. You will feel the glow everywhere. And that gives a sort of a glow which is called Brahma Varchas. Fifth one is aparigraha. That parigraha means to accept. Aparigraha means not to accept. That is refusing to accept anything other than the essentials. Somebody gave me some beautiful gold or a diamond. What do I have to do with it? You keep to yourself. What shall I do with this? It will only create problem for me. Whatever you need for your simple lifestyle, where you can keep to the sadhana, where you can continue your sadhana without disturbance, accept only that, not more than that. That is called aparigraha. It also enhances inner strength and independence. Because if you accept gifts from others, means in major manner, you will become bound by that. See, when you are on the path of truth, if you have to fight some which has some wrong things done, if you are under the bondage of something you have received from the other person, then you cannot fight against the untruth. You understand? So even it is a practice with the sannyasis, then repeatedly in spirituality it is said that let the rich people stay in their own manner. If you accept their offering, then you will be bound to, your independence will be lost. When they do something wrong, your tongue will be tied, you will not be able to say, अरे ये सन्यासीन क्या बोल रहा है, हम तो उनको खिलाया है, वो तो हमारे पैसे से जिंदा है और वे हमारे अगेंस्ट में बोल रहे हैं, हमारे विरुद्ध बोल रहे हैं. ये सब सच है. All these are interactional disciplines that have great contribution towards inner strength and purity. Now, why these 5 are called Bahiranga, that is external discipline? Because they are all actually interactionals, although they have bearing on the internal mind fully. But basically they are all interactional. Now the 3 Antaranga, the inner disciplines, they will be different. They are not interactional. So you can as well say, as we always differentiate between the interactional sadhana and meditational sadhana, or non-interactional sadhana. So these last 3 are non-interactional part of it. Similar difference is here also, that the interactional and non-interactional word they have not used. They have used Bahiranga and Antaranga. Oh, sorry. We are still in Yama. My goodness, I thought that I have completed all the 5 Bahiranga. So we are still in the Bahiranga, that Yama, after that is Niyama. Following Niyama, the mind and buddhi will become cheerful, stable and contented. Cheerful, stable and contented. All actions will become Kriya Yoga, dedicated to the Supreme. In the beginning of the Dhyana Yoga, I had explained the Yoga Sutra 2.1, which defined the Kriya Yoga. And there the 3 mentioned was the Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. These 3, that they were taking us to the ultimate Kriya Yoga. Now Kriya Yoga, what we understood that time when I explained, it is not different from the Buddhi Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. It is absolutely the same thing. Buddhi Yoga of Bhagavad Gita, what are you doing? In doing anything, the yoga part, whatever you are doing is external. But in the yoga part, how is the yoga coming? How is an action becoming a yoga? When your buddhi is anchored in the truth, and that buddhi is guiding your actions, then it becomes karma yoga or buddhi yoga. Generally we refer to as karma yoga, but in Bhagavad Gita, he has repeatedly defined it as buddhi yoga, because without the buddhi getting anchored in the truth, this yoga cannot be performed. And what is it? The buddhi remaining anchored in truth means what? It is anchored in the dimensions of the Atma. What is the truth? Atma is the truth. And what are the dimensions of the Atma? That it is never changing, imperishable, untainted, unaffected, unlimited. So if that is my goal, then whatever I am doing, wherever constrictions are coming, selfishness is coming, divisional feelings are coming, ragadvesha are coming, can we do that in that manner? Our buddhi remaining anchored in the Atma, in the dimension of the soul, those dimensions will automatically be reflected in our all actions. So the keeping the buddhi anchored in the soul, whatever we do, that becomes karma yoga. And that is the buddhi yoga of Bhagavad Gita, and that is the kriya yoga here. That how is it done? He says, tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhana. 3 things. One is the tapas. Now here again, the tapas can be of so many kinds. Normally any austerity is called tapas. If you fast one day, that is also tapas. If you don't eat certain things which you like, that is also tapas. That means, what is tapas in the usual rudimentary sense? That there is always a tendency of our going down the natural attractions and repulsions. The senses will go towards whatever it likes, even if it is not good for the body. It will go on eating and overeating that, indulging in that. All the senses, they will always like to indulge. So whenever we restrict that indulgence, not allow the senses to go in the manner flowing down the natural way downward, and keep back, it becomes an austerity or tapas. Naturally, it will grow our strength. Suppose a boy who is not wanting to study only wants to play. If you allow him to play like that and grow like that, he will become absolutely weak. He will not be able to do anything in the world. So we restrict his playing tendencies and make him read, study, and certain period of the day he has to study. Whichever he does not like also he has to study. In food also, if he wants to take only sweet, we don't allow, we ask him to take vegetable also. All these are austerity for them. And through that what happens? He grows in strength, in inner strength. So this is the common tapas. Then Bhagavad Gita in 17th chapter, it has discussed 14, 15, 16. 3 kinds of tapas they have discussed. I have told it earlier also, but let us see. Devadvija Guru Prajna Pujanam Shauchamarjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapauchyate. So see, first he has taken the external bodily tapas, they are saying. Here also, it is not all bodily, it involves the mind also, the buddhi also. He says, Devadvija Guru Prajna Pujanam. That is, those who are senior, those who are more knowledgeable than you, those who are guru, those who are knowledgeable, you should have humility towards them. In our country, they don't have. The moment they think that, oh, it is Phagua, they consider us to be a second-rate citizens who do not understand anything of the modern culture and science and all that. That kind of a feeling will be there. When somebody is knowledgeable and worshipable, you have to have the humility to worship them. So it becomes a tapas, because our normal tendency is not to have that kind of an humility. So humility becomes a tapas. Shaucham, this I have discussed quite a few times. Here Shaucham will come in the next. So these are all mixed like that. Shaucham means Shuchitva. Shuchitva means purity. And what is the meaning of purity? When there is no adulteration, when there is no division, no second thing appearing. So ultimate Shuchitva is the Atma or Brahman, you can say. That in the consciousness there is no adulteration, nothing. Even if the whole universe plays in that consciousness, the consciousness remains consciousness. Nothing will change in that. The universal will appear and disappear. Nothing will happen to the consciousness. So the ultimate of Shuchitva is the Atma, consciousness or Brahman. And so the practice of Shuchittam means you are going closer and closer to that. But otherwise Shuchitvam is of 2 kinds, external cleanliness and internal purity. This internal purity, I said that the Parakashta or the peak, the culmination of that goes to the Atma or Brahman. Arjavam, it has come from Rijutva. Arjava has come from Rijutva, means straightforwardness. It is considered a great, great quality of a seeker. Because why we do not follow the straightforward path? Because of our various raga, dvesha, greed and ambition and whatnot. So Arjavam means straightforwardness. Brahmacharyam, ahimsa, all these we have discussed just now. These are all shariram tapa uchyate in Bhagavad Gita. The next one is vangmayam tapa uchyate. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam jajat. Swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. These are oral tapas, he is saying. Using anudvegakaram vakyam. Your words should not hurt others, should not cause problem in others, should not cause any confusion in others, anxiety in others. Priya hitam chayat. Speak whatever will be good for them, auspicious for them, whatever will put their mind in an affectionate, in a good state. Swadhyaya abhyasanam. Now here naturally Swadhyaya is taken as reading the scriptures and about the Atma and all. But you will find our Swadhyaya can be taken to the deepest meaning of what we have just now said, anchoring the buddhi in the Atma. See, in Mundaka Upanishad, in the 9th verse or so, he is saying, Yas sarvajnaha sarvavit yasya jnanamayam tapaha tapasa chiyate brahma tatonnam abhijayate. He says that the Creator has created the universe out of tapas. And what is that tapas? Yasya jnanamayam tapa. Because there was nothing to do tapas. He had no hand, no feet, nothing. So where will in the Brahman, how will the tapas be there? What will be the austerity? He says that is called the knowledge austerity. The whole universe is appearing out of the knowledge austerity. It's just a wave in the knowledge, in the consciousness. Like that, for the knower also, it is all knowledge austerity. He need not do all the usual austerities of fasting or standing on one leg or keeping fire on 4 sides and sitting in between or going to the Himalayas and walking and all. All these other austerities are not important. For him, the most important tapas is jnanamayam tapaha, jnana tapas. That he should not slip from the Brahmanishta in any case. Whatever he is standing for, every moment how the jnana tapas come. I will explain some other day. That a pursuer of the knowledge, his tapas is only in the knowledge. How to keep the knowledge alive through everything he does. There should not be any deviation from that. But here Swadhyaya means the reading of the scriptures. That is also knowledge tapas. But it goes to the ultimate. Why are you reading the scriptures? Only to realize the self. How do you realize the self? By constantly making the self with making everything, understanding everything is made of self and self alone. So that Atmic dimension has to be imbued in everything we are interacting with. That is the real Swadhyaya. Then the third one is Mana prasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. He said the third one is the manasa tapas. Mana prasadaha. In Bhagavad Gita earlier they said ragadvesha vijukta istu vishayan indriyeshcharan atmavashyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. This prasada, mana prasadaha, this is the placidity of the mind. It will replace our elation and depression, sukha, dukkha, and all. In sukha as well as in dukkha, suffering will be there outside. And good things, happy surroundings also will be there. But in both, his mind, yogi's mind will be in placidity. His mind will be in manah prasadaha, that is it called. So ragadvesha he will not have. Then the mind will glow with the placidity of manah prasadaha. Saumyatvam, it has come from the soma, means moon-like, cool. The mind will be such that people will feel a calmness around you, a coolness around you. Maunam, here manasa tapas he said. Maunam means not just not speaking at all. This maunam is much, much higher maunam. What is that? The mind should remain maunam. That means whatever to be done, it will think about that. It will not go on chattering about that man said this, I have to reply that, I did not, tomorrow I will teach him a lesson. All this we are constantly throughout the day, so many things. I like that, I missed it, I took the big piece, tomorrow I will not. People said that I am greedy. All these things, unnecessary things our mind is full of. So, maunam here means the mind should become calm with only whatever to be thought. It will go on thinking, noble thinking, good thinking. It will not unnecessarily. So, our time is over. Oh, I thought I will finish the whole thing. It will take another 2 classes, I think. So, Niyama we have just started, no? Now, I will just name the Niyamas. that it also is 5, the fivefold. Shaucham, Santosham, Tapaha, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. See, there also Kriya Yoga, he said, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. These 3 will make all our karma, all our actions Kriya Yoga. That means, or Buddhi Yoga. That means that we are working without any desire. We are working, everything we do, it is dedicated to the Lord or dedicated to the Brahman. Brahma arpanam brahmavi brahmagno brahmanahutam, like that. So Shaucham means external cleanliness and internal purity. Santosha means remaining contented with whatever comes. Yadichha lava santushtaha. Tapaha means austerities, making the mind one-pointed. This is when we are applying the tapas to the mind, not to the body. The first thing is that whatever will make the mind one-pointed, conversed. This will help in winning over slavery to the world. Any tapas, as I said, it is to restrict your flowing down the natural way. So it will be restricting the indulgences and all, to win over the slavery to the world. The ultimate tapas is Jnanamayam tapaha. This I have explained. Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.9. Swadhyaya, studying moksha satras, ultimately anchoring the buddhi in Atma. That is the Swadhyaya. Swa Adhyayanam. Swa means our Atma. Adhyayanam. Actually, tapas also means the buddhi tattva, that is the fundamental intelligence, understanding where it is taking place. So, to bring in the swa adhyayanam, that is the truth of the self, to the buddhi. That means the buddhi will understand, will know the self in everything. So, swadhyaya means to bring in the truth of ourself to the buddhi. That means anchoring the buddhi in the Atma, same. And what that will bring, it will automatically lead us to Ishvara Pranidhana or Sharanagati or surrender. Because what are you doing? When you understand that everything is that Atma alone, then your body, mind, personality, whatever it does, it goes on doing, like the whole nature, it goes on functioning. You remain already surrendered, you remain as the Sakshi of the whole thing. Nothing happens. We will see how best we can do. That this Vritti Sarupyam Mitaratra is said, that also has to be linked to this. This sadhana of Niyama. How do you always infuse the Atma in everything? Because the Atma is taking the rupa of whatever the vrittis are. Vritti means our thoughts, our concepts, our vision, whatever is happening. It is happening in the Atma, in the Chaitanya alone, in the consciousness alone. So naturally that means the concept of vritti, the practice of vritti sarupyam will bring in the swadhyaya. All these are linked to one another. Today we will stop. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha.
Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha.
Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha.
Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha.
Stirairangaistuštuvamsastanubhihi.
Stirairangaistuštuvamsastanubhihi.
Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu.
Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu.
Swasti na indro vriddhashavaha.
Swasti na indro vriddhashavaha.
Swasti na pusha vishvavedaha.
Swasti na pusha vishvavedaha.
Swasti na stakshyo arishtanemihi.
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
हरि ओम तत्सत् जय गुरु